Hello, welcome to Dungeon Drillers Podcast. I'm your host Justin. So last week we didn't do a weekly Mecha anime review because I really weeks ago or months ago I wanted to rewatch Star Blazers 2199 and review it on the show. But it's the thing where I think Mecha anime fans would enjoy it, but it's not technically Mecha anime. And I didn't review it months ago, even though I was supposed to, because I couldn't find I had part 1 and part 2 that Funimation put on Blu-ray, but I couldn't find part 2. So I almost bought part 2 again, but it was like, but then I didn't because I bought Tetsujin Midday Moon instead, because I was like, I know why. I'm pretty sure I remember buying part 2, right? And I actually did find it, and I reviewed it last week, right? So that, yeah, so that's why we didn't have a Mecha anime review last week. So this week we finally reviewed Mazinger C the Infinity. I almost said the Impact, which is a direct sequel to Mazinger C the original show, right? And it takes place, I would say, I think it was 10 or so years later. Koji Kabuto is now a scientist. Tetsuo Tsurugi is married and is working as a bodyguard for with Great Mazinger as the protector of the Texas Photon power plant, which gets attacked by Baron Ashura's forces, which Baron Ashura, Dr. Hell, Count Brocken are in this movie, and they were all fought long dead, but they actually survived somehow, and are now trying to capture Mazinger Z Infinity, which is this giant robot that's so fucking huge, so huge that it would take a Mazinger or a giant robot to pilot it. That's how big it is, right? Which, Koji Kabuto and Sayaka, who is now the new chief of the Photon Power Institute. Her father is now the Prime Minister of Japan. They found it while doing excavation under Mount Fuji, right? And when they found it, they also found this bioorganic android called Lisa, who recognizes Koji Kabuto as her master. And it gets stolen, and Dr. Hell using the captured Great Mazinger pilots it and threatens to destroy the world. He wants to use the Great Mazinger Infinity to destroy our world and replace it with an alternate reality, kind of very similar to the story behind Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, which this movie came out the same year. Which this movie is the 50th anniversary for Go Nagai's works, right? And all other characters, you have Shiro's in the anime as well. He's like a pilot of a mass-produced Mazinger, which they have mass-produced Mazingers in the show, right? Boss and his Boss Mucho. What were their names again? Let me go check. Boss. Oh my god, where was it? Boss, Nuke, and I think it was Bucho are in the show as well, and in the movie as well. Sorry, and they're running a ramen store, and they help Koji Kabuto at the end of the movie create this diversionary tactic plan where they try to distract Dr. Hell's forces using a giant not just using their robot, which looks a lot better than it did in the original show, but it still has that 70s super robot feel to it. With the three scientists from the original show, one of them has died. They pilot this giant robot, this 4-legged giant robot that is a photon-powered 3D printer to create weapons for Boss Robot, which I really enjoyed that scene. You also have this cool final fight where Mazinger C, which doesn't have the God Scrambler from Mazinger C, the Impact, unfortunately. Which, that, I guess those are two different realities. Yeah, that's the thing. I watched Mazinger C, the Impact, thinking it was a remake of the original show, and it was and wasn't at the same time. Right, kind of like, yeah. Yeah, so, but like Mazinger C at some points does turn kind of goldish, or he glows kind of gold. Where like you see this cool fight where like Baron Ashura's in their mech, and Count Brocken is in his mech, and they're fighting Mazinger C in the skies, and they trapped Mazinger C, and they're about to do this special move where like Count Brocken's robot with its rapier weapon is about to pierce Mazinger C, but like Koji Kabuto with his plighter separates from Mazinger C, attacks Count Brocken, makes his mech miss, and then like gets freed and uses the same move that they were about to use on him, on Count Brocken and Baron Ashura, killing them like instantly. And you also have a fight where like Dr. Hell gets in a robot that has similar powers to Mazinger C and Great Mazinger, right? Where Mazinger C gets his ass kicked, right? But gets saved by Shiro, who saved Great Mazinger, and they fight Dr. Hell together. But Dr. Hell goes and pilots the Mazinger C Infinity and activates it, but like through technobabble bullshit, Lisa, the AI android, is able to create a giant Mazinger C that's the same height as Great Mazinger. As not Great Mazinger, as Mazinger Infinity, by converting like photon power into matter or some fucking crazy bullshit. And you have this epic fight with the giant Mazinger C with Mazinger Infinity, where like all around the world, everybody is sending photon power to Koji Kabuto and his giant Mazinger C, so he can defeat the Mazinger's Infinity, which reminded me a lot of the Spirit Bomb from Dragon Ball Z. Whenever people around the world would send Goku their energy, so he can use the Spirit Bomb on the bad guys, right? So I thought that was a cool homage and reference to Dragon Ball Z, even though Mazinger C is older, but whatever. I thought that was cool. And also there's these 4 Mazing girls idol group. These 4 girls in this idol group who you think are just propaganda to get people to join the army to fight Dr. Hell's forces, but they actually end up like piloting like four robots and helping near the end, which the 4 robots were like Aphrodite A's, which looked pretty cool. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the movie. It like, compared to other Go to Guy movies, this felt very wholesome and kind of family friendly. Not as ultra violent and there's like no swearing as in other as other Go Nagai works. What kind of ruins it from being wholesome is the outfits. There's like one scene in the movie where like there's like there's TNA, right? And then there's also the naked, when they found Lisa, she's like naked, right? But there's no titties. Well, there's titties, but there's no nipples on the titties. So yeah, I thought one problem I had with the movie, well, actually there's two. Koji Kabuto is depressed after the first operation against Dr. Hell, where they failed to beat him because they didn't know, like, oh, he was operating Mazinger and Trinity. They thought he had to capture Lisa first, and they get their forces wiped out, and like you see Koji Kabuto enter the battle to save his brother with mass-produced Mazinger, and it looked like his brother died because he rescues his brother, and then like the giant Mazinger fires this breath fire, which is like a massive like energy blast from the chest. If you don't know what breath fire is, and it looks like he incinerated Koji Kabuto's brother Shiro, and he's just like his robot is only holding like the arm, the arm of the Shiro's giant robot, which it turns out later, and like for a long time, it's not till the climax do you see Shiro again. So like you're thinking he's dead, but like Koji's not reacting at all to his brother's death. So it was like, what the fuck was that? And there's also the fact that when he's like walking like around town after like he goes to Boss Ramen with Lisa, he picks up this like Mazinger Z toy that like this little kid dropped, and he doesn't return the toy to the kid. He keeps it and gives it to his own kid. At the end of the movie, he finally confesses his love to Sayaka and tells her, "Hey, let's make a baby," which Tetsuo Tsurugi and in the movie is also, his wife is pregnant, has a kid near the end, which obviously, like in a lot of blockbuster movies, she's giving birth. She goes into labor at the same time that the climax of the movie is going on, which I didn't have a problem with that. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie, though it does use CGI animation with the giant robots. I felt like that they did a great job where it looked hand drawn, because they obviously drawn over it, or the CGI is just that good now. Yeah, it's the thing where like mecha anime is kind of at a point right now where it's like really expensive and doesn't sell very well. They basically only these mecha animes only get made just to sell toys, which I didn't buy any of the model kits because they were like super expensive. It's like, it was like $60 for a cheap one online, and I'm like, oh fucking, and like with $50 shipping, so I'm like, god damn it. Son of a bitch. Yeah, so I didn't get any. But yeah, so that's the thing where we have to deal with the fact that, whenever we're gonna get mecha anime anymore, it's going to be CGI, unfortunately, which sucks. Hopefully, even Gundam start doing it, which, with that that Char Gundam the Origin movie, which I still haven't seen. Which the reason I didn't pick that up because it was like I had just finished Gundam the Origin, because like literally when Viz Media put out the last volume of the hardcover, that's when the Gundam the Origin movie like was announced. So it's like, oh fuck, I just finished reading Gundam the Origin, now the movie's out. Okay, which they only covered the arc in the manga where like it's Char's backstory, which is like I don't really need to watch that. Yeah. So yeah, I would say there's a lot of great action. The movie is mostly wholesome, which is a nice, you know, change from a lot of the ultra violence like nudity and swearing that's in a lot of Golden Guy stuff, which I don't mind that, but it's like not everything needs to be about that, right? So yeah, I would say if you're in the mood for more family-friendly Mazinger Z, though this isn't entirely family-friendly, like I said, because there's like 2 scenes where there's TNA. Overall, I recommend this movie. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. I have no idea why it has the low rating it is. Also, I think it's either this year or next year, we're getting like a CGI Get a Robo, a CGI movie, which looks cool. The Get a Robo in that movie has like a Devilman aesthetic for some reason, which looks cool. So I'm looking forward to that. For our next weekly Mecha anime review, we're going to review Gurren Lagann. I almost reviewed it this week, but I got to episode 16. And I didn't finish it in time, which episode 16 kind of sucks, because I guess they blew their budget at like episode 15, so it's just like a behind the scenes episode. So it was like, fuck, you know. Alright guys, that's it.